Hello everyone, my name is Shane and I write and self-publish children's books. And today I'd like to read one of my stories for you. I hope you enjoy it. The story I'd like to read for you today comes from the book Nature's Secret Adventures. It was written by Shane Casey, that's me, and illustrated by Vincent Calary. It's one of 4 books from the Nature's Adventures collection. Each book contains 3 different stories. In this book, there's a story about a young pygmy shrew called Sheridan who has to rescue Cheryl, the girl of his dreams, from a big tomcat, a young otter called Orla on her first day in school, and 2 little mayflies called Mervyn and Maria who dance at the fairies' foxtrot. At the back of each book are little fact files about the main characters, and you'll find all these facts throughout the stories. But there's something else that makes the books a little bit special. They've been designed to be dyslexia friendly. You'll notice first the colour scheme. We avoid using black text on a white background because that can be hard on the eyes for some people. So instead, we've used dark blue font on a cream background. You'll also notice that the text looks a little bit funny, thicker on the bottom than on the top. That's because it's a special font called Open Dyslexia. You'll notice we've only used 1 space after a full stop instead of 2, and this prevents white lightning crossing the page. And finally, we've left aligned the text. That means the sentences are jagged at the end and easier to see where they end. Just a few small features that make a big difference. But now, let's get to the story. Orla's big day was inspired by a quote from David Everett. Large streams from little fountains flow, tall oaks from little acorns grow. Orla was nervous. She was so nervous she couldn't eat the delicious trout her mother had caught her for breakfast. She even turned her nose up at the eels, her favourite breakfast dish. In fact, Orla was so nervous she couldn't even enjoy her morning splash around in the water. Now, all otters are by their nature very shy and nervous creatures. But on this particular morning, Orla had good reason to be extra nervous. You see, it was Orla's first day at school, and the first time she was going to be away from her family. Poor Orla. She kept thinking, is the teacher going to be nice? Will I make any friends? And will I get lots of homework? Orla's mum did everything she could to ease Orla's nerves. She gave her a big hug and asked her to be a brave girl. She even promised to collect Orla at the end of school and bring her for a special treat. So Orla took a deep breath and put on her bravest face. Orla's school was on the riverbank, not far from the Holt, where she lived with her family. Her classroom was under an old willow tree which overhung the river. Oh, it was magical. Its branches lazily broke the surface of the water, sending tiny ripples downstream. The leaves sang an enchanted duet with a gentle breeze, and as the sun rose above the horizon each morning, it cast a shimmering shadow on the water. Orla was still looking around in awe when a friendly little duckling waddled over to her. Would you like to play a game with us? Quacked the little duckling. Orla loved playing games, and very soon she had forgotten all about her nerves and had made lots of new friends. Orla's teacher was Mrs. Teal. She was a kind old duck who spent much of her time visiting friends and relatives in Iceland and Russia. Mrs. Teal constantly waddled over and back across the front of the classroom, recounting the many adventures she had as a young duck. She told stories about migrating across the world and the lessons she had learned along the way. And occasionally, she got a fit of spontaneous quacking in the middle of her lesson, which brought giggles to all her students. But Mrs. Teal was also a very wise duck. On that first day, she held out a tiny acorn in her wing and said, "From this little acorn, a mighty oak will grow." Then she smiled at her class and said, "Now, my little acorns, tell me what you'd like to be when you grow up." Millie, the little duckling who had asked Orla to play, was the first one to answer. Millie certainly wasn't short on confidence. "I'm going to be the greatest mallard duck of all time, and when I grow up, I'm going to fly all over the world." "That's nothing," said Simon, a young salmon. "When I grow up, I'm going to leave this river and swim across the North Atlantic Ocean. Then, when I'm older, I'm going to return to this same river to raise a family, just like my parents and grandparents did." "When we grow up, we're going to grow legs and become frogs," chanted a dozen tiny tadpoles. "Then we'll climb out of the water to live on the land and breathe air." "Well, when I grow up, I'm going to leave this river as well," said Mary, a tiny mayfly larva. "I'm going to swim to the surface of the river, grow long, beautiful wings, and fly away." So each child got their chance to answer Mrs. Teal's question. Every answer was more amazing than the last, and brought gasps of awe from everybody. Finally, it was Orla's turn. Orla had never thought about this before, as she had always been too busy having fun and playing games. "I could be an Olympic swimmer," answered Orla, "or catch the world's biggest trout. On the other hand, I just love playing in the water, so maybe I'll join the circus." At this, all the children in the class giggled, including Mrs. Teal. "I think you'd be a very popular circus performer and make a lot of people laugh and smile," said Mrs. Teal. "Well," said Orla, "I hope that I can still have fun with my friends when I grow up. But right now, I'm just happy being me." "That's a fantastic idea, Orla," said Mrs. Teal, who then announced it was high time they all had a little more fun. So the rest of the day was spent playing games and having fun. Before she knew it, Orla's first day at school had come to an end. And no, there was no homework that first day either. The end. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it.